And we are back. Welcome back to the King's Report this Monday, August 21st, 2017, broadcasting live from the Chenigung Palace to all the kings and queens of the Kingdom of God. We are joined today with Frank Scavo, a lifelong resident of Northeast Pennsylvania. Frank began to develop his keen business sense and work ethic at the age of 10, where he worked day and night with his grandfather. That's so beautiful. Getting back to the bio. When he worked day and night with his grandfather, Frank Sr., at Wilkes-Barre Drive-In. The Scavo family has been involved in many successful private entrepreneurial businesses. Frank's dad, Frank Scavo Jr., owned Francesco's restaurant in Moosic, Pennsylvania. Independent businesswoman, including Frank's mother, Henrietta, capitalized on opportunity with Lady Vogue Figure Salon, and Frank's wife, Karen's Hair Salon, were huge successes for over 20 years. Frank Scavo attended Old Forge High School and graduated from Keystone University with an associate's degree in business management. Professional development courses include the Dale Carnegie course in human relations and Carus Partners Effective Negotiation courses. Civic duties included 8 years of service as a director and president of the Old Forge School Board. Frank also presided as budget and finance chairman, bringing in the science wing building project on time and on budget with zero corruption, and was contract negotiations chairman during one of our state's longest teacher strikes. Frank has never shunned confrontation on tough decisions. Frank was also chairman of Voice of the People, a grassroots pro-America group which secured the right to gather to express free speech. Wow, what a novel idea. Free speech in these United States. This quickly dwindling away, isn't it? Without permits in the city of Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Frank Scavo currently manages LKQ Keystone in Old Forge, Pennsylvania. LKQ Keystone is America's 58th fastest growing company and is proud recipient of the 2009 Pennsylvania Right to Work Ronald Reagan Award. Frank Scavo currently resides in Old Forge with his wife Karen, daughter Sarah Angelina 12, and son Frank 9. Frank's goal is to provide leadership and critical thinking to destroy the paradigm of politics as usual in both our state and federal government with the hope of taking back America. Welcome, Frank, to the King's Report. We were just talking during the break about Charlottesville and the breakdown that's happening, the race-baiting politics of the left, trying to make everything about race, trying to say that the white supremacists are coming out of the woodwork and they're overtaking you and taking on minorities. You should all be scared, and you should just attack randomly white people, and you should, just reported today on Drudge, a Caucasian man stabbed for having the wrong haircut. He had short hair on his side, getting out of his car, and a guy said, "What are you, a white neo-Nazi?" and tried to stab his neck as he got out of a car. I mean, totally insane. Frank, let's hear your take and your breakdown of what we are as a nation. Where are we going? Look at all this chaos that is starting to bubble up. Your breakdown from Northeast Pennsylvania. Frank.
Well, good morning, Sean, and thanks for having me on the King's Report. It is indeed an honor. The reflection on Antifa and Charlottesville and anything else, as you heard in my bio, I've been holding public, peaceful, planned rallies, which the authorities have somewhat meddled in and made it a little bit difficult to gain permits and to gain permission, which I can tell you this, back in our early days, the Council of Wilkes-Barre, the city council, tried to have us secure permits and get security that was in the thousands of dollars. And we were just 7 people that would most likely get 200 to 300 like-minded people at a peaceful rally. And unbelievably, the ACLU and Vic Walczak helped us to secure permission, not even permits, just permission, and not have to go through those exorbitant, costly security measures, which we were 7 volunteers. We didn't have a budget for that. We had a budget of $100. So, at some point, even our foes, which I consider the ACLU a foe, true benefit, because it's all what we're trying to say, and it's what we're trying to say. We're not acting out. We're not in the streets causing riots like Antifa. Antifa is lawless. And one of the points I'd like to make is we for the most part, are law-abiding citizens. Now, when Antifa goes ahead and bombs our peaceful get-togethers and rallies, well, they're going to force the lawful into lawlessness. And when that happens, they are not going to like the result, because we are committed. We are committed in the principles of the Lord, of Jesus Christ, of the Constitution. Where Antifa, they are just worried that they're missing out on something. Someone's got more money than them. Someone is, going to take away, I won't even say their rights. You know what? Some of these things that really aren't in the mainstream is what they fight for. So when they push us, the American public, to go ahead and confront them, well, this isn't going to be good for any side, because they are not, as evidenced by Charlottesville. Like it or not, those KKK white supremacist faction, the 2 to 3% of the American public that they represent at the most, they did things the right way. They got permission. They assembled. They were nonviolent, but yet they were attacked by the Antifa and those of the George Soros crowd, which I don't give him that much credit. He didn't start this whole thing, but certainly he can go ahead and perpetuate it by funding them. But what they're doing is they're going to break the American citizen, those that are going to fight for this country and Constitution, and it's not going to be a good thing. It may be another civil war.
Wow. No. Have you seen the Berkeley riots that were literally burning down Berkeley, California, one of the most beautiful places. Of course, California is blessed with such beautiful landscapes, etc. But just completely utter chaos, with the mayor literally trying to stop a speaker. In that case, it was Milo Yiannopoulos, a libertarian young man who is openly gay, and he's a Republican Trump supporter. But he was trying to just speak at a organization's event there at Berkeley. They banned him from coming, and the whole radical left's view that, oh, you can have free speech, but you can't say anything that disagrees with us, because anything that disagrees with us is called hate speech. So they're re-identifying categories of speech, namely anything that they disagree with, as hate speech, and using that as a trope to say, well, that should be banned. Well, that should be censored. And tell us a little bit about how you gather people to express free speech, because you are standing up as a real classical liberal like Thomas Jefferson, who like Voltaire said, hey, I don't agree with what you say, but I will defend your right to say it. I mean, the left says that they're liberals, but they're not liberals at all. They're complete censoring, totalitarian, control freaks that don't want people to have an opposing view. Go ahead, Frank.
Well, Alexis de Tocqueville, Locke, Voltaire, what Milo Yiannopoulos represents and says. Since when does the liberal media not let a gay man stand up and speak? Oh, it's only when he has a conservative viewpoint. So if this doesn't prove, Sean, that we love almost everyone in the world, here's Milo, and here's my thoughts. Look, I don't care what your persuasion is, as long as you are productive in society, you join with us, you are not a drain on the system. Your social tendencies, really, as long as they're not exhibited in full frontal display, like mine are, you're fine. So for Berkeley and the mayor to go ahead and really make an example of themselves, not so much Milo. Milo's just a surrogate. They are showing that unless you are part of their clique, their clan, unless you subscribe to what they believe in, if they happen to be in charge with their rules and regulations, I think it would be pretty much like a caliphate, where you would not be able to say much, and your wealth would be confiscated from you because you didn't believe in what they believe in. So a lot of these ideologies can exist with the constitutional republic, but yet we we tolerate them because that is who we are. So, there's a lot of things that the average American needs to look at and first form the premise of, well, as long as you're not yelling fire in a crowded theater, you can say a lot of things, but you can't prevent people from saying them. And then if they act out, and that's the important part here, if they act out like they did in Berkeley, then why is not someone in a fully black ninja outfit that is causing damage to public property that we paid for not immediately arrested? Because we want them arrested, and then this is on their record. So the next time we do it, they can't say, well, this is my first rodeo, it's my first dog and pony show, because now we know this is a subversive. So as for my thoughts on Berkeley, it was just terrible.
These people with 2x4s. Did you see some of the clips? Guys, pull up some of those clips on Berkeley. There were women, lesbian women that were going to see Milo speak, and they were standing there getting beaten with 2x4s and big poles, and there were people trying to come to rescue, but literally, this is the tolerant left. The tolerant left burning down buildings, burning down trees, smashing windows, beating up lesbians, trying to go see a speaker speak. There's not, and the cops are standing down. The mayor of Berkeley, a total leftist, tells his police force to stand down, and they don't do. They're literally watching there. They're watching from the sidelines, doing nothing, allowing this lawlessness to occur. And the same in Charlottesville. The law enforcement down there was literally standing around. There's now video of them pushing the demonstrators into Antifa with no police protection. And it's inevitable that there's going to be a clash, and there's, of course, a tragedy that happened that day. But it looked ridiculous. The more and more camera scenes that are coming out, the more and more video that's coming out. They found that some of the people on CNN I just showed the video this morning, a guy who was supposed to be an accidental witness happens to be the chief of staff of a Democratic politician, and happens to have worked in this Clinton State Department. There's feds all over the place.
I did not see that, and that is unbelievable. Where does the hate come from? This is a hate-driven agenda. But what they really want in the end is they want complete and utter control. They want to confiscate the wealth. Yeah. They want you to be a dependent serf. It's like Hayek said, the road to serfdom. This is their plan. I don't give them any cover. I tell you right what it is. They want complete power, and what they'll do is they will disrupt the country and cause American blood to spill to get it. Now, I'll let you comment on that, John. What where do you see this headed?
Isn't it? It really is the Maoist, Marxist perspective. The ends justify the means. We will get centralized at any cost. And basically, even Plato wrote about it in his Republic. He was talking about the state should own your children. How can they in Chicago be having a UN health sciences course that is forced upon public school and public school parents as well, teaching 5 and 6-year-old elementary school age children about sexual organs and different sex positions and masturbation at 5 years old? This is totally insane. Totally insane. And just the fact that conservatives and Christians don't like that and say, hey, that's a little dangerous to be teaching, quote, health sciences like that to children, and we don't agree with that. We want our children to, have an actual childhood. Then you're called a racist, and you're called a homophobe, and you're called an Islamophobe, or you're called whatever, to bully you and intimidate you out of having your own view, or having a view that doesn't conform to this platonic, to this really centralist view of controlled economics, controlled governance, etc. It really is against sovereignty, against freedom. Everything that the left is standing up for is against, conscience, free will, you name it, liberty. It's just a slippery slope of unending, perpetual controls, regulations, and in the end, they want to split up the family. They want to split up husband and wife. They want to create gender dysphoria. They were trying to force transgender and different no-sex bathrooms into, elementary schools under the Obama administration. I mean, this is creating tremendous, tremendous chaos amongst young people who can't even know that whether or not they're male or female, or they think they can choose based on their feelings, which is not science at all, not biological at all. Biology says you're either male or female, you have XY, XS chromosomes. But there's so much that is hitting the normal person that is over the top, and it's just so in your face, and it's forced upon you as if you don't agree and conform with it, you're the weird one and you're the mentally ill one.
You would think that's how the press portrays it, but I'm glad you brought up Chicago. Now, Chicago, you're talking about centralization. Everything is centralized and unionized in Chicago, where over the weekend, 66 people were shot, 3 of them died. Now,
Yeah.
how many of those people that perpetrated those shootings do you think were NRA members? Or how many of those guns were registered to legal law-abiding gun owners?
Exactly.
I'd say none, because if not, it'd be major network news on all the PMS NBCs. They'd be saying, "Oh, well, here's this NRA member, and he has just shot a family of 6." So, what we have to be aware of, Sean, is the lie, the narrative. It is truly a lie. But when you just spoke about the family, that there is an attack on the family, and I could tell you this. My family and I have worked. You saw it on my bio, since I'm 10 years old. I have no problem with working. And when they say there's jobs Americans won't do, well, if you're familiar with a drive-in theater back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, even 80s, you would go to the drive-in with your family, and you would get your cheeseburgers, your French fries, your hot dogs. And when you were done, 90% of those people threw the half-eaten cheeseburger, the garbage, out the window. Now, I'm 10 years old. Here I come the next morning, and I picked garbage. Let me say that again. At 10 years old, I picked garbage off the field with my grandfather, who was in his 60s. Now, here's an old guy working, picking up garbage, and here's his grandson, a young guy, picking up garbage. So when you say there's jobs Americans won't do, I will tell you that Americans will do any job as long as we don't corrupt them and put them on the plantation and give them money for not working. So I take great offense when someone says jobs Americans won't do. But the point I make is the family amasses wealth. We had a family business. I worked in it. My dad, my uncle, and guess what? Yeah, we were paid. And here we are. We have homes and cars that weren't given to us by the government. So you can't look at someone and say, well, they're rich and we want to increase their tax rates. No. What happens is you begin to work and get married. Now you have 2 people putting into the family budget, into the family income. That's how it's done. It's not done through voting or government largesse.
That's so important because dynasties and the tax code system, the regulations, all this is set up so that only the elites can have family dynasties, and everybody else in the middle class, their family assets are dispersed, and they're encouraged. Young people are encouraged. Don't work in your family business. That's, this or that. You have to branch out on your own, move away from your family, split up, move to a different city. And then they depress these economic regions where kids can't find, jobs in the region because everything's going to Amazon now. And then kids have to go to the cities. They're forced into the cities to split from their fathers and mothers, to leave the family farms, the family businesses. And that dynasty is shattered and broken. And then again, the monopolists, only they can continue to pass assets down. They can continue to pass wealth down. They can continue to pass down their dynasties down. But they continually break up the middle class. And they don't want the free markets because it will create a middle class that's vibrant and strong, and family businesses and dads teaching their children, the ins and out of the job and the restaurant or the business, and pass that down. Because how happy would you be if you're a dad, you made your business, and your son has learned the trade, he's capable, and he appreciates what you did, and he wants to continue the legacy. That's amazing.
And as the parent, you could act as a consultant, because your son would come and say, well, Dad, what do you think about this? So you could further grow. But but Sean, here's the point. As corporate America Amazonizes,
Oh
we
my
have a
God.
choice. The Americans have a choice. So when I go to a McDonald's and I see the kiosk, or when I go to Lowe's or Walmart or anywhere that has the automated checkout, I don't go to it. I go to the person so they are able to have the job. So we as consumers,
Praise God.
we're really the bosses here. And you know what? We abdicate our responsibility because they make it, it's easier for you and you'll save time. Well, wait a minute.
What a
As the more
tremendous
people you
point.
put out of work, how are you going to support them?
That's what we can do. Empowering us to realize what we can do, small things that help people stay in work and not get replaced by the automated machines that are coming down the pipeline. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us with more Breakdown with Frank Scavo.
I was lost with a broken heart. You picked me up, now I'm set apart.
Arms, Magnum Research, and Auto Ordnance. The Car Firearms Group. With a diverse product line that blends American craftsmanship with cutting-edge technology. It's no secret why gun enthusiasts choose Car Firearms Group. From the Desert Eagle and Baby Desert Eagle made famous by Hollywood. The history of the 1911 and the Tommy gun. To the best in compact concealed carry. Car Firearms Group is not only the first name in personal defense, it's a name that has earned the respect of gun enthusiasts around the world. Concealment, innovative technology, value, accuracy, and history. Car Firearms Group. Made in the USA. Visit car.com today.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
And welcome back, kings and queens of the Kingdom of God. I'm your host, Helen Sean Moon, the second king of Chuniugug. This Monday, August 21st, 2017, joined with Frank Scavo. And Frank was, right before the break, was telling us about how we as citizens can empower. We are the bosses. We can make a difference. Sometimes we feel, small and like we can't make a difference. And that's how we're made to feel. But we can make a difference from the micro to the macro. Frank, break that down for us one more time. How do we make a difference with our consumer purchases or retail purchases, etc.? Elucidate us on that.
Well, Sean, thanks again for having me on the King's Report. I am enjoying myself. I love to talk to people and show how much we do care. So how can we guide and really get the results from our lives in government that we want? Right now, we still have our wealth and our purchasing power. And believe it or not, we are the ball bearings. We're the sand base that everything is built upon, because each individual transaction adds up to one of the largest economic powerhouses the world has ever known, America, the American consumer. So when you go into a store, and we all have our press for time, but when you go into your Walmart, your Kmart, when you go into anywhere where you have a choice between a computerized kiosk, which helps corporate America eliminate their workforce, right? Donald Trump's trying to bring back jobs, and corporate America is what? They're leaving his commission because they just want to go, computerless or computerized and peopleless. Go to the person, don't go to the kiosk. Wait that extra couple minutes and let the person check you out. That forces corporate America to pay health care for that person. And then they are taxed, so they pay into the taxation fund that we have currently set up. But we can do one thing better, and that's at the local level. You always hear this, but run for office. It's easy. If you need any help, call me. I will help you get elected. The second thing is that I'd like to see happen in my lifetime is to have, and this is more prescient than ever, is to have Washington have the same health care and laws that we do. So I start by asking Congressman Lou Barletta, Congressman Tom Marino, and the other congressmen, because those are my congressmen that I know personally, to go ahead and set up the health care so they get what we get. Not that we're forced to have Obamacare, which, by the way, I thought everybody's supposed to be covered by Obamacare. But, as I'm a school board director here in my local school district, the teacher strikes and contract big dollar items are always over healthcare. So where's Obamacare? We're sold a bill of goods, and these guys are bald-faced liars because they said it would cover everyone, and it covers no one that I know. And I'm recently unemployed, so I tried to get on it, and I can't. So where does this work? It doesn't. So as always, your voice needs to be heard locally at the office of your state representative and your federal representative. Congress or Senate. Bob Casey is up for re-election. So these are the guys that will either do your will, do your bidding for the hardworking American citizen, or they need to be put back into the workforce like us and be punished, because I see our regulations and taxation as compulsory and punitive.
Right, punitive. It would be so great if even also congressmen and senators had time restrictions. They couldn't be, lifetime politicians, but they had, end of terms. They had term limits that they would prohibit them from being a senator or congressman for like 50, 60 years. I mean, this is ridiculous. You see what happened with Senator McCain blocking Obamacare, the repeal. I mean, how ridiculous is that? He's been running for the last 7, 8 years saying that he's gonna get rid of Obamacare for his Arizona constituents, bringing up sob stories of how people are being totally swindled, their prices are up, they're losing their doctors, everything that Obama said was completely flipped around. The opposite. He said you could keep your doctor, you couldn't. He said the price would go down, it went up 3 times. I mean, and then he's crying about that for the last 8 years. And then he has the swing, but he has the vote. He has the vote, and then he votes to destroy the repeal. I mean, what was your take on that? Then he votes to the repeal. I mean,
Well, Sean, you know what? When it comes down to parties, it seems like a great ground shift here. We had 60,000 Democrats switch to vote for Donald Trump. Subvert President Trump because he's too much of a personal agenda and his ego. You think Trump's ego is big? John McCain's ego is big, and you know what? He did it all on the back of the taxpayer. At least Donald Trump has a hotel. If you, whereas on the other hand, I have to pay for John McCain's health care. Why? Because he's part of this government oligarchy, and he is one of the guys, as a Republican, that I say should be voted out.
Oh, amen.
That Republican should be voted out of office by
Amen.
Republicans and Democrats alike, and either A, give a new guy a chance, or B, get someone that's more connected to the people, because he is truly disconnected. And I met him when he ran for president up at the University of Scranton, and he didn't know me, and he was, for some reason, all alone standing next to a wall waiting to speak. And I went over to talk to him, and he was one of the most miserable, inconsiderate, unkind, egotistical. I was just like blown away that if he's looking for votes, he wouldn't even smile and say, "Nice to meet you." He was a bum.
So sad, because these Republicans have been promising that they're going to get rid of Obamacare, they're going to balance the budget, they're going to shrink the size of the government, and all we've got is the same thing that the leftists bring. We just got increasing debt, we have increasing size of the bureaucracy, the deep state. I mean, it's like Roger Stone calls it, the two-party duopoly. You don't know, it's like pro wrestling. It seems sometimes like they're just out there making a charade, but they continue to do the same thing. And we found out this year, that was reported on Breitbart News, that Paul Ryan and different Republicans, Mitch McConnell, receiving money from George Soros executives and different type of high-level Democratic funders. So it's like, that's why people are getting frustrated and they voted for Trump. They wanted change.
Julian Assange. Now, I will tell you this, during the election, I donated to WikiLeaks. I bought the boys in the basement some pizza and some sodas. So
You are such a patriot, Frank.
well, thank you, Sean. But I have just seen where WikiLeaks is now dumping, and I like it when they dump on both. I like to know the inside on the Republican. I like to know the Democrat, the Independent, whatever it is, because the truth shall set you free. And you're right about both sides and the duopoly. So when WikiLeaks is saying that they have just dumped, where they have showing Ryan and how they're going with the anti-Trump message during the campaign, these guys were elected to do our bidding and our will, and they're not. So it's time to really get rid of them and to tell them that we know. Listen, we know the game. Your gig is up, and we're gonna work to put you out of there. And it's easier for the Democrats to promise largesse. We have a $21 trillion overspend that our children, our grandchildren, my son, listen, they're not going to be able to take a trip to across the country because they'll have no disposable income. The confiscatory tax rates are going to be like 90%. So it's terrible.
Wow, I mean, look at the America that's being created, that's being left to our children. And it never gets better if we just stand idly by and do nothing. There's the old saying that says, evil gets to succeed in this world, not because evil is so powerful, but because good people stand idly by. And it's like the American people have been sleeping, the sleeping giant has been sleeping, but now people are starting to wake up and they're starting to get politically active. But right as they're doing that, there's all this divide and conquer strategy. They're trying to make the race riots, trying to do race identity politics. Do you think the left's insistence on trying to create civil war, naming everybody who supported Donald Trump as a white supremacist, even if you're not white, I mean, it's just so insane, literally trying to divide and demonize anybody who supported the president. Pastor Brown, one of the big evangelical preacher who's in the prayer circle with Donald Trump, was told by a congressional speaker that the deep state is literally out to get rid of the president. That is to completely, take him out within the next 2 months. And he said that during a public church service. And now he's trying to sound the alert that even President Trump's life is in danger. I mean, you had Deputy Director Mudd of the FBI, former Deputy Director, come out on CNN saying the government's going to kill this guy. That's a quote. How can they get away with speaking like this about a duly elected president? I mean, Sean Hannity is now saying this is a clear and present danger to this republic.
I'm impressed with your knowledge, Sean. You really follow this. You're updating me on a few tidbits that not even I'm aware of, and I'm a follower of the Drudge Report and everybody else on the social media. So that's what I'm saying. If they're going to force us into a corner, for those of you familiar with the words 3% and 3%er, that means we're willing to go ahead and take the risk and make sure that our constitutional republic survives. And that probably means all means. So, it may come to a point where we have to leave our homes and our farms and our offices and go to Washington. And, who knows what happens from there. I would certainly hope that we're all able to return home. But someday that may not be the case if we don't use the laws in this constitutional republic to ensure free speech, but also to apprehend those that are not advocating free speech and who are acting out violently because threatening the president's life. We just saw where this Missouri state senator said the unspeakable. Now listen, I believe they said it during George Bush's presidency, but this has gone too far because it's too often, and it's building a surge. We talked about the surges against the Taliban and the Islamic jihadists. Well, these guys want to do a surge against the duly elected president, which I'm here to tell you, your surge isn't going to work. It's not, and I'll be there to make sure your surge doesn't work. So, when it comes to that, those are some pretty strong words, but I don't expect everyone in America to feel this way. I don't expect everyone in America to act in defense of America because they take it for granted. And, I won't say that they don't deserve it. Look, it is what it is. But when it comes to defending it, the 3% will rise again.
Spoken by a true patriot. Take a short break. We'll see you right back with more breakdown with Frank and his incredible breakdown of what is going down in America and how we can say we don't want anything to go full hot as they're trying to bring it hot. We're winning the ideological battle. We're winning the info battle. We're winning on the information front. But again, they keep pushing it more violent. People have to defend themselves, obviously, at some point. And we pray that Washington can change and can modify its behavior and get rid of the deep state and preserve the life of the president and his work that he's trying to do so desperately with a deep state that's trying to sabotage him on every front. Everything he's doing is trying to get sabotage. But there's so much going on. But the patriots have to stay alert, have to be awake, they have to be healthy, focused. We pray for all of you. And we'll be right back after this break with more with Frank Scavo. Stay with us.
And there were chains around us. By your grace we are no longer bound. No longer bound. You called me out of the grave. You called me into the light. You called my name and then my heart came alive.
Car Arms, Magnum Research, and Auto Ordnance. The Car Firearms Group. With a diverse product line that blends American craftsmanship with cutting-edge technology. It's no secret why gun enthusiasts choose Car Firearms Group. From the Desert Eagle and Baby Desert Eagle made famous by Hollywood. The history of the 1911 and the Tommy gun. To the best in compact concealed carry. Car Firearms Group is not only the first name in personal defense, it's a name that has earned the respect of gun enthusiasts around the world. Concealment, innovative technology, value, accuracy, and history. Car Firearms Group. Made in the USA. Visit car.com today.
And we are back, broadcasting live from the Chunnigung Palace to all the kings and queens of the Kingdom of God. I'm your host, Hung Sean Moon, the second king of Chunnigung, here with Frank Scavo. My goodness, it's like an incredible red pill morning this day. And anybody watching the broadcast, you must be just jumping with joy to see another patriot and, of course, see another brilliant man, entrepreneur, businessman, dad, son, grandson, just tremendous patriot Frank Scavo, breaking down how the left can ally with some of the most radical forms, radical political ideologies, and allow this culture where Americans don't have rights. If you have Christian values, you're bad, you're intolerant. Yet the feminists and all these liberal institutions are supporting some of the most radical ideologies, some of the most misogynistic ideologies on the planet, like radical Islam, which is Saudi-backed. Female genital mutilation, mainstream in Saudi Arabia. The fact that the Prophet Muhammad had a 6-year-old child bride whom he was having sex with at 9 years old, which is the reason why child marriage is okay. Even when I was at Harvard, there was a student doing a paper on the road to Mecca, and that prostitution is, there's brothels on the road to Mecca, and pilgrims will do what is called a temporary marriage. When they have the sexual urge, they'll go into the brothel, they'll marry the woman legally under Sharia law, marry the woman, and then after the sex episode, they will divorce her legally. And this is okay. This is okay. This is supposed to be women's rights and protecting women. And like Linda Sarsour, the radical leftist who is leading, many of these women's marches, says this is Sharia law is the most pro-feminist law in the world. I mean, how much disinformation can the American public consume without starting to say, hey, I don't know if this is true, and question this crazy narrative? Frank.
It is so. You had a little drop out there, Sean. It is so crazy for that ideology to be tolerated anywhere. You want to practice a religion, that's fine, but that is a complete political. It's complete with courts. It's complete with taxation. It's complete with defense. So it is meant to replace anything, including the United States Constitution, military, representative form of government. So you're playing with fire out there with this. Once again, if it's a religion, maybe praying somewhere. If somebody is making the sign of the cross and they're in a restaurant and they're saying prayer and holding hands, you're going to look at that, and some people are going to be highly offended. But when the Muslims come, you're going to be called to prayer. You're going to hear that 6 times a day. You're going to have your prayer rug. And if you don't think religion is going to be part of your life, then you will lose your head over it.
Oh, this is the thing. If you become apostate, that's also legal by Sharia law to kill you.
I'm an apostate. That's the way it's going to be. Professed apostate.
Even in the UK, which is, of course, just letting the migrants from very radicalized areas pour in. And, of course, everybody wants to see, everybody who has Christian values wants to help the needy, wants to help the poor. But we don't want to do it through the government because Jesus taught private charity. We want to do it where we can help directly the person, where we can know we're making a difference, not give it to some bureaucrats, which then 76%, Dan Johnson was on the show the other day, giving us a tax breakdown, 76% of the taxpayers' money to, quote, government charities is eaten up by the bureaucrats. 76%!
It's just, and listen, that's why I said we're in charge here. We have to start electing the people. Get rid of McCain, get rid of Casey. If this is going on with the people that are in there, out you go. It's time to go. But a very good point that you had made earlier, when you had Christian immigration, Christian refugees, they weren't allowed into America. 90% of the population from Libya and our latest one, which was the President Assad. That's
Syria, yeah.
Syria, right? Escaped me for a moment. From Syria, listen, the Yazidi Christians were being driven off mountainsides, raped, just left to die in desolate deserts. And where was the United States in helping them? They're not the aggressor. They were the victims. And what did the United States do? Hillary Clinton, thank God we dodged that bullet because she wanted 600,000 more Muslim refugees. It's the Yazidi Christians that needed help. The Muslim refugees should stay in their own country, fight for their brand, fight for their caliphate, and not be allowed here where they will become the fifth hollow. So it's amazing.
It's absolutely incredible. And why not allow people who are immigrating that have similar civilizations and don't have clashing civilizations, like Sharia law clashes with freedom, sovereignty, private property, the right to defend yourself and your property, a right to free speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of the press. It clashes with them. Why don't people from Christian backgrounds or different society, even Buddhist backgrounds, fine, but cultures that don't clash with the existing democratic free market society? If you bring in people that are coming in from war-torn countries, many times because of the federal bureaucracies that are there, then they're pouring in, bringing Sharia law, bringing some of the most misogynistic forms of control. You're going to have a clash at some point. No-go zones in Europe.
I recently went to Paris over the summer.
Oh, did you? My God, you're a brave man.
And it was on the 4th of July. And listen, I'm not comfortable with Paris security. I was in Italy, also in Rome, and much more serious security in Rome. But let me leave you with this. In Paris, why weren't the no-go zones or any of those Muslim neighborhoods on the tour route? Why didn't they take me to see those? They took me to see the Eiffel Tower. They took me to see the Louvre. Why didn't we go into those bastions of culture and acceptance? And Frank, come and see this. Reason being, I'm not of their ilk. And I would probably be stoned or beaten or something else if I went into those areas as a Christian. So, you just better be careful, because just because you don't see it and have an experience doesn't mean that it's in your backyard and coming your way.
Europe is now encountering a terrorist attack literally every week. Every week, somebody is being bombed, murdered, run over by a car, by somebody who's screaming Allahu Akbar, and who in the news does not even report that this is a jihadi, and that his motivation is, in the ideology that he's supporting. You're not even able to say that.
That they're also on their welfare system, so they're also trying to kill the people that are supporting them, because if you have a job, you don't have time for this. Isn't that amazing?
Oh my goodness. What a crazy morning, but a tremendous red pill morning. Hey, folks, what a beautiful interview. Frank, this is probably one of our best interviews. We're so thankful you joined us this morning. What a blast it has been. What an incredible hour. Just whizzed by like that, my goodness. There you go, folks. Thank you for joining us today on our 3-hour broadcast. We thank Frank for joining us so much. He is a tremendous patriot, entrepreneur. Tell our viewers where they can support you, any of the work that you're doing. Let us know how we can help. Any of the political work that you're doing. Go ahead, share that with us, Frank.
Well, you know what? The best way to get in contact with me is on Facebook. I am on Facebook. It's very simple. 10 letters. Frank, 5 letters. Scavo, Scavo, 5 letters. So that's 10 letters. It message me on Facebook. And in the future, unless everybody straightens it out, I will be running for a higher office again. So thank you for having me. The King's Report is wonderful. Thanks, Sean.
In Washington, or at least in the local state level, we absolutely need patriots like you, Frank. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Great to see you, man. Awesome to see you. We got to get some
thanks, Sean.
Indian food next time.
Yep. Amen.
Good to see you, brother. Good to see you.
God bless.
Thank you for joining us this morning on the King's Report. We thank you for all the wonderful prayers that you are praying for our president, and also for our country, and also for the ministry, etc. We are praying for you. Please be praying for the president, for the United States, for your country. We want peace, but peace not through totalitarianism and communism and political Satanism, but peace based on God. That is where peace begins, with Jesus Christ himself and our relationship to God, our Creator. Thank you so much for joining us once again. We pray every day, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We'll see you tomorrow, 5 a.m. sharp on the King's Report. God bless, Godspeed, and may his kingdom come.